What separates me from a lot of people is, they take breaks, they take summers off, they take weeks off, and pretty much, I'm doing something with wrestling every day of the year.
Before Ben Askren would be considered one of the most effective wrestlers ever in MMA, holding an undefeated record before he was knocked out in 5 seconds by Jorge Masvidal. Before Ben Askren would agree to fight YouTube personality Jake Paul in an upcoming boxing match on Triller. 36. Before Ben Askren would have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, 415,000 followers on Twitter, and almost 840,000 followers on Instagram at the time of this recording. Ben Askren is a professional fighter and one of the world's greatest wrestlers who would also be the first to admit that striking was never his go-to choice in the ring. In fact, throwing hands at his opponents was never part of his game plan. Instead, this two-time Hodge Trophy winner and NCAA wrestling champion always relied on his superior grappling ability to win fight after fight after fight. So why has this former wrestler, who's also spent time in the world of MMA, decided that his next challenge should be a boxing match against YouTuber Jake Paul? He told MMA Fighting, "Boxing obviously is different, but I told someone the other day that I'm really good at athletics. I wanted to be a really good wrestler. I won NCAA titles and made the Olympics. I wanted to be a good mixed martial artist. I won multiple belts in multiple organizations. If I want to beat up an amateur boxer, this isn't going to take me more than 3 months of training to do so." Without a doubt, that's a boatload of confidence that Ben is rocking, which, as he mentioned in that quote, is probably a result of his lifelong come up in the sport of professional fighting, which I'm about to tell you about right now. It was poppin', guys. Your boy Marlon Palmer back at it again with a brand new episode. This one taking a look at the life of Ben Askren before he was famous. Everyone is looking forward to this week's fight between Ben and Jake, but since most of us already know who Jake is and where he comes from, I thought we'd shine a spotlight on the more accomplished fighter in this match whose past might not be as well known. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at @DadDudeMcFly. Let me know what you guys think. Well, let's get into the story. Benjamin Michael Askren was born on July 18, 1984 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but spent a large part of the time growing up in Hartland, Wisconsin, where he participated in a couple different team sports during the course of his childhood, like soccer and basketball. But Ben realized from early on that working as a part of a team never really appealed to him. He told Flow Combat, "What really attracted me to wrestling was it was a one-on-one sport and you make or break your destiny. I wanted it to be my fault if I won or my fault if I lost. So I guess I had a hard time with other people having control over my outcomes." This desire to rely solely on his own ability is what initially brought Ben to the wrestling mats. After picking up the sport, it became immediately clear that Ben was a natural. In fact, he trained nearly every day of his life once he turned 14 to accomplish his dreams and annihilate his high school competition, becoming a 2-time state champion out of Arrowhead High School. Once he graduated, Ben was awarded a full scholarship to the University of Missouri in 2002, and while he expected his achievements to carry over to the next level, things didn't exactly go that way at first. He told Flow Combat, "I lost 10 matches in 6 weeks in my first year of college, and so that was a reality check. That was a point where I always say either you give up or you love the fight and you figure out how to get better. I mean, kudos to him. If I get my ass beat 10 times, I'm becoming an accountant." Redefining his passion, he added scrambles into his traditional wrestler base and earned himself the nickname Funky in the process due to his unorthodox style and lanky body that enabled him to lock in holds that most of the wrestlers simply couldn't. This change would alter the course of his entire career, and he ultimately captured the NCAA Division I Championship in 2006 and again in 2007. As a teenager, another dream of Ben's was to win an Olympic gold medal for his country, and he earned himself the opportunity to do so in 2008. First, he beat national runner-up Tyrone Lewis in back-to-back contests at the US Olympic trials to earn his place on Team USA, but when he arrived in Beijing to compete, his childhood dream was shattered almost immediately. He lost his first match to Cuban grappler Ivan Vondura on points before successfully pinning Hungarian athlete István Vereb, but that initial defeat was enough to eliminate him from the field of contention altogether. When speaking to Flow Combat about his loss, he told them, "The Olympics is every 4 years, and so losing and knowing that I essentially had put a lifetime of work into that moment, I kind of knew at that point I probably would not have another shot. But even if I did, it would be 4 years away." That was really hard to swallow. This is one of the lowest points of Ben's career, but it also helped him make a decision that would reinvigorate his life. While dining at a pizzeria in Beijing alongside his future wife Amy, Ben made the decision to continue competing. Only now he would fight inside of a cage as a professional mixed martial artist. With a foundation of world-class grappling abilities, Ben worked tirelessly to add striking and submissions to his repertoire. He immediately began training with American Top Team at their main location in Florida, as well as back at his old stomping grounds in Missouri. In February of 2009, he made his professional debut against Josh Flowers at a show called Headhunter Productions, The Patriot Act. Within 2 minutes, he brought his opponent to the ground and struck him repeatedly until the ref called the match.
Good, Askren! Easily!
Ben had the time of his life during that fight and knew that he was going to stick with MMA from then on out. His grappling-heavy strategy became his trademark that he would heavily deploy on every opponent. Eventually, he fought his way to capturing the Bellator Welterweight Championship in October of 2010 against Lyman Good. He continued to defeat every opponent placed in front of him until his career culminated in his victory against Nobutatsu Suzuki in August of 2014 to claim one of the richest prizes in the sport, the One Welterweight World Championship. Ben then began a successful title defense that would last over 3 years as he continued to defeat all challengers. Speaking to Flow Combat about what made his career so successful, he told them, "I never made a secret of it, and I always played to my strengths. And that is something a lot of people get away from. They do not play to their strengths, and I always play to my strengths. And I've been very focused and determined on what I do. So far, it has worked out well." After capping off his one career by defeating Shinya Aoki, Ben decided to enter the world of UFC.
Now to get the opportunity to fight these guys that are ranked above me, yeah, I am on cloud nine. I'm so excited for the challenge, and that's like from the heart, right? I can't wait to do this.
And while he beat Robbie Lawler in his first ever match in somewhat controversial fashion, he would lose his next two battles against the likes of Jorge Masvidal and Demian Maia. At that point, chronic long-term injuries began to catch up with Ben, and he ultimately chose to retire as a result.
I'm retiring from the sport of mixed martial arts, and frankly, I'm retiring from everything.
I would retire too if Masvidal knocked me out faster than anyone in UFC history. That was gross. After undergoing surgeries to help repair his ailing body, recently Ben shocked the world when he agreed to fight Jake Paul, who was fresh off his decisive victory inside the boxing ring against former NBA guard Nate Robinson. Nate, we still haven't forgiven you for that. Just stay away, bro. And while Ben did say he was retiring from fighting, he left himself an out in case something interesting came along. According to him, this is one such case. I mean, money is always interesting, am I right?
If there was interesting things that come up in my future, I would take them. This seems like an interesting thing, seems like fun. I got done with my hip surgery. I needed a reason to get back in shape.
So will Ben defeat Jake, or are we all about to get the shock of our lives? Well, that's a story for another time, another video. After all, this is before they're famous. Be sure to let me know what you thought of Ben's story in the comments down below. While you're at it, let me know who you think is gonna win this big battle this weekend. Don't forget to follow our Instagram @BeforeThey'reFamous to vote on what's next. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.